So a high school teacher and church leader has been arrested after confessing to hosting sex parties for teenage boys. Now, Jared Anderson has been charged with sexual assault of a child, sexual performance of a child, possession of child pornography, and indecency of a child during what he called Bros Night. Now, on February 12th, Anderson held a Bros Night at his home that was attended by 7 boys between the ages of 15 and 17. A sign at the door read, "The last one to get naked has the first dare." Now, according to police, the boys stripped naked and were instructed to play games with each other while Anderson walked around naked with an erection. The teens were allegedly instructed to crawl around naked and touch each other and to place their genitals on another boy's face. Anderson's mouth also came in contact with a boy's genital. Anderson also allegedly challenged a 17-year-old to see who could be the most obscene. It involved him and the teens sending pictures of their genitals to each other. Now, Child Protective Services was notified after the alleged incident was reported to a church last week where Anderson was a group leader.
Of course he was.
He has since been banned from returning to that church, and he's also been put on administrative leave pending the results of the police investigation. So he did confess to doing this. So I feel like he has been put on administrative leave pending the results. I mean, he's already confessed to doing it. So
Yeah.
maybe just...
Yeah, like that's probably enough of that. I don't know. Is this normal in high schools? Like, if I went to, first of all, the idea of going to a sex party led by one of my male teachers would have been a little bit of a cautionary note for me. Mm-hmm. And then when I got to the door and it said, "Hey, let's all take off our clothes," that would have been red flag number 2. His erection would have been red flag number 3. Yeah. Right? Like, what? Is this a thing that happens?
Well, I feel like we're victim blaming a little bit, all right? So he's a teacher, he's in a position of power, and these are underage students, right? And so I feel like you never know what other sort of power dynamics that he was playing with them at school, what relationships he developed with them beforehand to make him feel like they trusted him or something like that, or they could trust him, and sort of slowly ease into this relationship that did take place into getting these boys to his home to get involved in these sort of lewd activities. I don't want to say like, oh, you should have seen the red flags, because that's not really fair to these underage kids.
Well, okay, you're of course right. And I'm not proposing we do anything to the kids. They're the ones who are traumatized by this, et cetera, obviously. And I'm proposing we give him a stiff sentence, if you will. Okay, sorry. Okay, now, but on the other hand, like, I'm not trying to blame him, but I'm like I'm picturing one of my male teachers inviting me to a party where he's naked and has an erection. And I'm trying to picture under what circumstances I wouldn't have been like, calling 911.
Yeah,
right?
I think also specifically titling it a bros night, isn't that just another way to say sausage fest, which is pretty much what guys tend to avoid? You know, like bros night, like hey, do we want to only hang out with a bunch of dudes and not see any girls?
Also, we don't know the sexual orientation of any of these boys, and I think that's not really part of the discussion. What happened here is somebody in a power position who is a high school teacher who's way older and also a church group leader took advantage of 7 boys, and all 7 boys did give the police a statement, and that's how they eventually found out, was when one of them reported to the church what was going on. So obviously they were under some sort of duress or something that led them to this. I'm not saying that.
Yeah, I get it. No, and this bros thing, I didn't know the bros thing was a code for gay. I had no idea. Like, was it?
I don't think it is.
I think he called it as like, we're all gonna hang out, like just us guys, no girls. Don't tell your parents. Like it was, you know what I mean? Like I think it's very predatory behavior, and it just shows how devious this guy was. That he was like, I'm gonna create this entire night for these boys, and then I'm gonna prey on them. Right. And then I'm sure that there was some grooming that went on earlier so that they, walked into it. Otherwise, you're right. A lot of high school boys would be like, what the fuck, dude? Like, I don't want to go to your bros night. You're making it weird, dude. And like that, they would have seen the red flag. But it seems like he really groomed them so that they did walk into bros night, which is so stupid. What a dumb name.
There's a new app out that's like for bros, but it turns out it's like if you want to hang out, go to a movie, or have sex with one another. And I'm like,
really?
Yeah. And I'm like, I didn't realize having sex with one another was a bro thing, right? Like that
Yeah.
puts a whole new spin on the whole bros before da-da-da, right?
Yeah.
And so like, and now this guy's just like, oh, sex party. You show up, there are no girls, and he's walking around with an erection, right? So like, is this like, I'm thinking like, there's two stories now with bros being like, oh, bros hang out and have sex with one another. Like, I just didn't know it. I didn't know that was a bro thing.
I don't think it's a ubiquitous term. I think, like Grace said, it was sort of like, hey, we're having a guys' night, right? And so I think the bro app that you're alluding to is this sort of trying to get on that, that spectrum, that territory where you're not totally straight and you're not totally gay, and they're just trying to have a term that everybody's comfortable with. Like guys, it could have been called guys. I don't think it has some sort of gay undertone like you're insinuating.
Okay, apparently it does for some people, but yes, it's probably an exception. Anyways, I don't want anybody to get me wrong. Not only am I not victim blaming, they turned him in. That's why he's right. That's why he was caught. It's just amazing that he thought he can get away with it. Like,
right. No, it's sick. It's completely sick that he took advantage of these boys in this situation. The entire story, it just gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah.